Today we're going to look at the REMOVU P1. It's a live view and remote for your GoPro camera. Inside the box you will find the P1 cover, the P1 body, a wrist strap, and a USB cable for charging and firmware updates. The P1 requires the GoPro LCD backpack, and it essentially makes your LCD backpack portable. You're no longer limited to having the LCD backpack on the back of your GoPro. The P1 is completely waterproof up to 1 meter. I used it the other day surfing, and it helped me frame my shots from 2 different camera positions. One angle was from the board, and the other was from my point of view. Keep in mind, Wi-Fi signals do not work underwater. I occasionally lost connection between the GoPro and the P1. Once the devices were both above water, the P1 quickly reconnected. Now let's take a closer look at the P1. The side of the P1 features a back button, a power button or mode button, and the record button. You can power it on by pressing the M button. Once the P1 is fully booted, it will land on the Wi-Fi screen. Here's where you connect your GoPro. I'm going to remove the P1 cover since it is not really necessary at this point. Now I'm enabling the Wi-Fi on the GoPro to use the GoPro app. The P1 now detects that the GoPro is broadcasting, so I can go ahead and choose it. Next, you're asked to enter the Wi-Fi password that you set up using the GoPro app. It should connect within a few seconds. After you complete this process one time, the P1 will remember your password and automatically connect each time, unless you change your password. Now we have the live stream going and we can see some of the indicators on the screen. The top left shows us that it is in video mode. A little over to the right shows how much recording time on the SD card is left. Over on the right side we can see the Wi-Fi signal and the battery life on the GoPro. The bottom left corner shows the video mode and the bottom right shows the P1 battery. Now if we swipe down we get several options. The first is the Wi-Fi settings. If you have multiple GoPros you can switch between the GoPros using this menu. The second option shows you the date and time. The third gives you the option to lock your screen. You lock and unlock your screen by pressing the 3 locks. You can see I had some trouble unlocking the P1. You really need to be precise when pressing the screen. The last option gives you access to the REMOVU settings. You can go in and adjust the screen brightness, the sleep timer, the OSD and screen lock, and you also get access to the Wi-Fi settings and some system information. If you want to go back and look at some of your captured shots, swipe from left to right on the screen and simply choose the video and watch it play back. Now if you want to change your video or picture settings, swipe from right to left. If you drill in on each mode, you can adjust to whatever settings you like. You can additionally go into video, picture, or multi-shot settings to get the exact settings that you would like. Pretty much everything that you would normally see on your GoPro should be accessible here, like resolutions, frame rates, ProTune settings, and the list goes on. Let's take a quick look at the size of the P1. Looking at all the different angles, we can see that the P1's face is about the same size as the R1 and the Hero 4. On its side though, it's a bit bulkier. Now the weights are almost similar, but the P1 is just a tiny bit heavier. Now if you plan on taking the P1 into water, you will need to make sure of 2 things. 1, that you correctly seal the P1 cover, and 2, that the USB cover is pushed all the way. Ensure that the P1 cover is locked into the body correctly and then seal it using the latch. The P1 feels comfortable while strapped onto my wrist. While surfing, I forgot it was even on my wrist until I needed it. After paddling, duck diving, and a few waves crashing on me, the P1 survived. I inspected the P1 after surfing and there wasn't any sign of water inside. If you want to quickly switch between the different modes on the camera, you can use the mode button on the side of the P1. I find it easier to use the mode button than using the touchscreen, especially while I was out surfing. From the P1, you can shut down and power up your GoPro. Actually, you get 3 different options. You can shut off just the P1, just the camera, or both. Hold down the power button for a few seconds to get the menu. Notice the blue LED is still blinking, which means the Wi-Fi connection is still active. If you press the power button on the P1, it should power on the P1 and the GoPro, and it'll eventually begin live streaming. REMOVU also created an accessory for the P1. It's called the cradle. It's a holder for the P1 that can be mounted using standard GoPro accessories. The P1 snaps right in and feels really secure in the cradle. To pop it out, pull on the edge of the cradle and pull out the P1. Okay, so I think that's going to conclude this video on the REMOVU P1. I hope you guys found it helpful in making your decision on, whether or not this is something you would need. Overall, I think it's a great product. It's definitely a little different than the R1 because this is just, a standalone device. It doesn't require an extra component, LCD backpack. So if you're not sure which one you should get, just figure out whether or not you're going to be needing something waterproof. If you need something waterproof, then you're going to have to go with the P1. If waterproof is not your thing and you're just going to be cruising around on a motorcycle or going for skateboarding or just walking around going for a hike, then R1 is perfect. Like I said, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have any more questions or comments, you can go down below and just leave them down there. Actually, one more recommendation. Make sure that either with the R1 or the P1, make sure you're checking the REMOVU website every once in a while because they have a firmware update coming out, maybe every few months or so. And you want to keep that up to date. It'll fix any bugs. And hopefully that'll help you guys out. So like I said, I hope you found this helpful and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.